Hey everybody, I have a special guest. I have two special guests today. This is Mr. Paul Reed-Smith. Paul has been on my channel before, but some people that I know say, he's not really a real person, is he? I told that to Paul this morning, but Paul is a real person.
My wife told me I wasn't real this morning.
And this is Tim, of course. Everyone knows Tim Pierce. And this is Ken, who's, if you can see him, we can go to the other camera. He's engineering our session. Paul, what are we doing here?
Well,
Where do we start?
I challenged you.
You challenged me.
And I said, find the best Strat you've ever heard in your life and let's compare it to some SE guitars. And you were like, I like that idea. But then finding the
Strats
was interesting. So
yes.
there's four of them here.
Yes.
There's a 55 Strat. There's two 62s made almost on the same day.
Yep.
And a 63 Bastard Strat, which means it has a few other parts on it, right?
Yeah.
And you guys got to decide, the two of you decide which one you like the best to then compare.
So let's actually just talk about our what we're playing through here. This is a Park 45.
Yeah, but it's not a vintage one, it's a new one, but it sounds
It's a new
really
one. It's
good.
Mitch Colby built for me because of Tim.
You heard mine, and
I
you had
heard
to have
his,
one,
and I had
now
to
you
have one. And then we're going through three different microphones, an SM7, SM57, and a Sennheiser 421. And then we're going through three different 1073s, mic pre's. And that's it. No EQ, nothing. And we're going through a 71 Marshall cabinet with greenbacks.
What is this?
Okay, this is my friend Chip's guitar.
It's a
Chip Dillard.
It's a 62
This is a 62 Strat, and this is weird. So Chip stopped by yesterday, just randomly. I haven't seen Chip in forever, and I didn't tell him anything about making this video, and he said, oh, I brought this guitar of mine for you to check out. I said, what is it? He says, a 62 Strat. I said, no way. He said, why? I said, because
the day before.
The day before. I said, because we're going to shoot out a bunch of 50s and 60s Strats here, and can you leave it here? He said, yeah, no problem. So there it was. When they walked in yesterday, he's like, what is this? I said, my friend just brought this just randomly. And Paul said, it's not random, right, Paul?
I don't think it's random. The guy was on the grid. He got a message to bring you the guitar. I mean, I'll probably get shot on the internet for saying something spiritual like that, but I have a friend, when I'm having a bad day, he goes, what's wrong, Paul? And I go, how'd you know? Oh, you're on the grid. I mean, it's almost the whole Joseph Campbell thing, you know, the force be with you. And there are people that kind of know what's going to happen. Artists are very, very known for knowing what's going to happen ahead of time.
Synchronicity.
Chip had this guitar since his grandfather gave it to him when he was 9, but his grandfather was the original owner of it.
That would be the neck pickup.
Yeah.
Here's the middle. And the bridge. Which I would step on a pedal for. But here it is by itself. Now you would play a different part with that.
That's
for a different part.
That pedal's a thickening agent.
Well, it can be whatever you want.
What,
but
did you hear how it thickened it up?
Yeah. With the bridge pickup, you would play on the low string. Or you would gain it way up and play lead up here. But it gets pretty skinny up there.
Yes.
I always go to the neck to try a Strat. Have we heard this one?
I think we have.
Yeah,
you
that's
want
good.
to try the one that was made almost the same day?
I do.
Yeah.
Guys, tell me about this.
Okay. What is this, Paul?
So we had decided, let's find the best one ever. So I called Dave Rogers at Dave's Guitars in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And I wanted something in between the 55 and the 63 that we had. Your friend hadn't showed up with the guitar, right? And so he said, well, I've got a 61 slab board. So he said, I'll send it to you. And the next day it comes, and it's not a slab board. I called him up, I went, I thought you said this was a slab board. He says, we did a shootout with the whole museum, and my crew thought this was the best sounding guitar in the whole museum. It's a late 62. And I went, fair enough. And I plugged it in, and I liked the sound of the bass pickup. But the treble pickup was really, really ice picky.
Middle. delicate. Here's the bridge.
Wait a minute. You have to play the same lick. You
Gotta play the same lick.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
Oh, you like to touch.
Oh no, I went. Look what I did. I went to my favorite.
Ah, that's not fair
Okay, so
either.
here's a lead.
Good. So that's 2 guitars.
That's
right?
2, yep. Tim, that was very funny that you just
Yeah.
Automatically.
automatically
I want to
flipped
go
it back
home.
up.
Take me home.
Well, you know why, right? Because he's a guitar player, and it's instantaneously, viscerally
That's
done.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, Paul, what is this guitar?
So, I was at Rainbow Guitars
Okay.
in Tucson,
All right.
and Harvey pulled out this guitar, and I thought it was one of the best Strats I'd ever touched. And I said, "Will you sell it to me?" He said, "Yes," and the deal was done.
That was the neck. Now to the middle. Now, the bridge.
So to me, what's interesting is that most of these, if you interview most of the rock stars, they use 62, 63, or 64 strats on these records. You can hear it, they're louder, and the signal-noise ratio on the 62, 63, 64 guitars, there's more, it's a louder guitar against the noise. You can hear this is a quieter guitar.
Yeah, so why?
Well, because the magnets were different.
Okay.
And they were stronger, and the power of the pickup is how many turns it has and how loud the magnet is. That is fundamentally it. And if the magnets are louder and they had a few more turns on it, the turns were close, it's going to be louder. But the treble pickup in that guitar has got a little sweeter mid-range than the other two. Did you hear that?
It does.
I did, yeah.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, well, this is all the things that we were listening for when we were making the SEs.
Yeah. Paul, tell me about this guitar.
Okay, I found this neck on Reverb. It's a 63 big C neck. It turns out that A, B, C, and D were all the width of the nut, not how big they were. But when they made the nuts wider, the necks were bigger, and these were the legend, the big ones. And so we were able to find a piece of original pickguard material that had never been cut. So when we cut the pickguard out of it, it wasn't shrunken because all those pickguards shrank and bent the pickup over and all that stuff. And then we found very slowly over a 2-year period pickups for sale that came out of 63 and 64 guitars and put them in here.
Okay.
Well, this has been our shootout guitar to know what a really good old Strat sounds like. What's interesting also that I think we all forgot to mention was all these guitars are tuned to E flat, which is a trick that Strat players use to get the guitar to sound bigger. Otherwise, they're a little too thin sounding.
Yeah.
And they always blamed it on the singer, but it was never that. It was always they wanted the guitar to sound bigger. If you listen to Machine Gun, he's got that whole band tuned to D to D, not drop D. And it's a bigger sound. It made the guitar bigger. So that's got to, I mean, people are going to know when they learn what Tim's playing that it's tuned to half step
And
down.
I just want to ask Tim, what kind of neck do you like?
I like a thinner neck,
Yeah.
but I've been liking fatter necks lately.
Okay.
So it's kind of seasonal.
Okay.
It just depends. Playability-wise, it's more about the frets and the width of the
Interesting.
neck. I can deal with anything back here, big shoulders, small shoulders,
Okay.
but I like new frets. So I might refret an old Strat if it wasn't going to really reduce the values.
Well, that one's been refretted.
So yeah, it feels
And the
good.
55 had been refretted.
Yeah, they feel good. Very nice. Now we move
like
to the
that.
middle. Very musical, both.
Yeah, I like
Try
that.
this guy.
You always step on that green thing. Now that treble pickup's not squealing.
Nope.
No.
Where the other twos were squealing through the pedal, right?
Yeah, it lights up in a musical way with the pedal, with gain.
So here's the question. Which of the four do you want to shoot the SEs out with?
I really like this one. The three pickups sounded different from each other in a really good way. I don't know, it has a really pleasing sound to it.
It seems musical and smooth and even across all the pickups.
I did like
this one.
Chip's guitar, the first guitar that we...
Do you want to try Chip's guitar again?
We should,
Yeah.
yeah.
That thing that the 55's quieter than the other ones is not well known. It took me a long time to... Why was all these people playing 63, 64? Gravity was playing on a 64. The Hendrix stuff, if you read it, was 63. 55 Strats, that's Eric Johnson's thing, but they're quieter.
Well, when I tried it out yesterday, I didn't have it plugged in. It was really quiet.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, Tim, try.
That was the neck. Here's the middle. Now here's the bridge.
Well, the bridge on the other guitar sounds better than this bridge to me. So right there. Tim, what do you think? You're
I like
playing
the
it.
black one the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the other one better.
There's one thing I want to point out about this guitar, and that there's a lack of low mid-range in the bass pickup, which makes it sit in the track really well. If you
Yeah.
play the bass pickup again and listen to the lack of low mid-range.
I like that. The bass pickup sounds
Right.
great.
Which is what engineers were always trying to get rid of. Mastering engineers, recording engineers. So that part I like. I thought the bass pickup in this guitar was very musical, but it started to not get musical as it went
As
up
you
and-
moved on,
moved
yes.
up,
Oh,
up,
okay.
up. That's
Yes.
what I heard.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I decided to put the four Strats back to back so that you guys could decide what you think is the best of the four Strats. We decided that the black 1963 Strat of Paul's would be the best one to shoot out against the Silver Sky SE. Let's hear that Strat one more time.
That is the neck. Here's the middle.
For the mid-range?
I like that. I love.
And here is the bridge. Musical,
Yeah.
smooth.
So Tim, and Rick, this guitar has had literally a dozen pickups in it because we were trying to find the best one for this thing, and the ones you buy on the internet are a crapshoot, right?
Yep.
I'm famous for taking a pickup that I spent somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 for, taking a razor blade to it to find out how it was waxed inside, because it makes a difference.
Yeah, literally destroying the pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, guess what? I would rather spend the money and make sure John Mayer's happy and make sure this video goes well than to worry about the money for that lousy pickup, right? But I thought these three were the best thing that we were able to purchase over a long period of time.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with a Silver Sky SE.
Okay.
Now, in my belief system, where it was made doesn't matter anywhere near as much as how skilled the people are in making it and the design of it and all the specs of it, right?
Yep.
I mean, for me, it's really important. And the idea that you're now going to compare sifted through guitars to something that came right out of a box, that's just sacrilege. It shouldn't be that way. But why not? Okay, this was basically right out of the box.
That's the neck. Here's the middle. And here is the bridge.
I really like the treble pickup on this.
Me too. I mean, that's where the bridge pickup gets great for chord.
That's cool. So let's talk about this. I wasn't trying to make it sound exactly like the 63 when we designed it. We were wanting it to sound in between the 55 and the 63. The core guitars, which are made in Maryland, they sound, I think, even better than the black guitar. But that's a different animal. We did something to these pickups so that they would have that treble pickup that didn't take your head off.
What did you do to it, Paul?
We put little teeny pieces of metal in between the pole pieces to add more iron to the magnetic field.
Okay, and why? How did you figure out how to do that?
We tried it and it worked. It was, look,
Well, where do you get the idea to, hey, why don't we try this?
Experience kind of leads you to a spot. We were making pickups in that facility over there, and they were thin. And I wanted to thicken them up because I didn't know that this video was going to happen, but that treble pickup without those pieces of metal would not have that kind of beautiful mid-range to it. I mean,
when I pick really lightly.
Yeah. That sounds great.
I know that tune.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to try another one?
I do.
Okay. So they're humbuckings.
These are single coils, though,
Okay,
right?
but a jazz bass is a humbucking.
Okay.
And we're going to get into this. When you have a Silver Sky between the treble and the middle pickup, it's a humbucking.
Okay.
Okay, but it sounds like a single coil. It turns out that it being a hum canceling is not why it sounds like it does. But we can describe all that. But this is us tuning the hum canceling coils to the same notes as you just heard.
That's the neck. We move to the middle. We move to the bridge.
Is that a 5-way switch on there, Paul?
Oh yeah, they both are. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me.
Since all the old guitars have 3-way switches on them, these have 5-way, but Tim only played on the rhythm, middle, and bridge.
And the reason for that is I tried to get the middle position and it was eluding me, and I just want to sit here for like 8 minutes and it would slip off every
But
time.
we put a 5-way switch in the 63. So you want to compare the middle sounds on the black guitar to the middle sounds on this guitar?
Yeah, let's
Because
do
they're-
that
sure,
actually.
yeah.
Okay, now here is these two together.
Okay.
All right, so let's try this one. Yeah, it's got a 5-way in it. Thank God I'm not a liar.
First, these two.
Yep.
Now, these two. So just out of the box, these guitars play really, really well. And as a guitar player, I like necks with no issues. I love the way vintage guitars sound, but sometimes they're really hard to get around. This one, I immediately felt freer. What's this one called? The NF?
And yeah.
You've
Yeah.
never played this
NF3.
guitar before, right? Tim?
Never. Yeah, first time I've had it in my hand. And there's a fatness to it with the way it hits the amp.
I always say this. Everybody knows I play newer guitars. I'm not a vintage guitar guy.
I recently bought a 58 Les Paul Special that had never been played. And I was noticing up high that some of the notes were choking out. So I leveled the frets. They'd never been leveled at the factory. And when I leveled it, I realized that every old guitar I'd ever played, a really good repairman had worked on.
Of course.
And to me, that wasn't okay. Then the neck was really not straight, and we had to refret it to fix it. And then I realized most of the old guitars have been leveled and refretted.
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, that's part of why you're liking the way this
Yeah.
plays, because the neck is straight and the frets are level, and it's been. I'm sorry, I was a repairman, so I've taught all my people to do the repair work before it's shipped.
Okay, so if you go back and watch my video I did with Paul back in 2018 or so, this might not even have gotten on video. We walked into where you have all your guitars ready to go out, and you opened up a couple guitars. Right. And apparently this is something, do you still do this, Paul? Like you opened up and then you went through and you used like a grease pencil or something. You said, okay, if anything had an issue, that you would go through, and then you just pick up random boxes and you open them up and check things.
We have a meeting regularly where all the managers in the room and we open boxes. And that meeting wasn't fun at first because we were finding things, right?
Yeah.
But now it's become much more of a joy. And the question is the customer getting their money's worth? Not, did you get out an electron microscope and find something? That thing really doesn't sit well with me. What sits well with me is, how's it sound? Because they're going to shoot it out. How does it play? What is the reaction of the artist? You know, I went and saw Joe Walsh at the Sphere. He was playing an SE guitar he bought that I'd never touched, and it sounded huge. And I was like, oh my God, that's the theory. If Joe Walsh buys one, and I had nothing to do with it, it better be doing its job.
Right?
Yeah, well, this one has that quality. I play better. Thank you.
I love having my friends come by the studio and doing guitar shootouts like this. This was really great. Thank you, Tim and Paul. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought, which guitars you thought sounded the best. Hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.